Airport, and as we get set to take off, we'll look at the starting lineups for this afternoon's game. Sean Elliott and Terry Cummings will start at forward for the Spurs. David Robinson in the middle, Vinny Del Negro and Avery Johnson in the backcourt. Reggie Williams and Rodney Rogers, along with Dikembe Mutombo up front for the Nuggets. Jalen Rose, the rookie, and Bryant Stith starts in place of the injured Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who is missing his third straight game. There is Stith, who has scored 40 points, the team captain of the Nuggets, in the 2 starts he has made, replacing Abdul-Rauf in the lineup. And here we go. The officials: Dick Bavetta, Terry Durham, Ron Olesiak.
They got a mismatch right away with Terry Cummings, and they get him to basketball, and that's what the NBA is all about. Reading when you have a mismatch, taking advantage of it. San Antonio has improved dramatically in that under Bob Hill.
The Nuggets come off a 102-87 win here at McNichols on Friday night over the Phoenix Suns. Rodney Rogers and Robinson with the rebound. Robinson, one of the very best in the league at getting the ball off the boards and getting the running game going. Del Negro on the pick and roll goes right through Robinson's hand.
Bob Hill doesn't see David drop any of those, but that was a stiff pass and went right through his hands. What they're trying to get is David Robinson moving to the hole so Mutombo can't react and get a chance to make him change the shot or block it.
Reggie Williams open for 3. Still a 2-0 game. Del Negro going to go across the lane and score. Vinny Del Negro, and the Spurs lead 4-0.
The Nuggets on Friday night against the Suns came out and set the tempo and the tenor of the game early with really a lot of aggressive play, quick movement of the ball. Stith wanted to foul. David Robinson gets the block.
Bernie Bickerstaff looking for the foul too. Avery Johnson pulls up, and it is a 6-0 San Antonio lead, and Bernie Bickerstaff says timeout. 10:26 remaining here in the first, and the Nuggets are still looking to get on the board. 6-0 Spurs. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
That doesn't happen, but if you're going to play a team in the first round, you can come into the building and get the kind of start that we got here today. That lets them know there's a good chance we can't beat this team. They are red hot anyway, and to have the confidence to come in and shut them down when which team needs the game the most? The Denver Nuggets.
Reggie Williams misfires. The Nuggets are now 0 for 4 in the game, while the Spurs are 3 out of 3 from the field.
This is where David Robinson is most dangerous, and when he can put the ball on the floor. They forced him to his right hand, and he was able to pop it up, and they get their first score for the Nuggets out of it.
Reggie Williams with the basket, and it's 6-2. Robinson finds the baseline closed off. Terry Cummings, and Mutombo with the rebound. Mutombo, the NBA's second leading rebounder behind Dennis Rodman. Jalen Rose. And Mutombo with the follow.
What Jalen Rose just did, he should do more of against Avery Johnson. Just take him down right into the post without even running a play and jump over him.
Sean Elliott across the lane for 2.
If you were to say what's the X factor in the Spurs' success, it would be the return of number 32. Sean Elliott has been terrific in big ball games, making shots and big plays for other people when it looked like they may not be able to pull out a win.
Reggie Williams answers the basket, and here's Robinson blocked by Mutombo. Rose ahead. Rodney Rogers out of bounds, courtesy of Terry Cummings. So it's going to be that kind of an afternoon, is it?
It's going to be a terrific afternoon in terms of both teams really aggressive in trying to make it. Mutombo is probably the best at being beat and making a recovery after his man goes by him. David Robinson will remember that.
On the move down the lane, Jalen Rose. And we're tied at 8. Dikembe Mutombo is the NBA's block shot leader at 3.9 a game. and Dick Bavetta blows the whistle.
The leader is Mutombo. David Robinson is 4th. They're both better than 3 a ball game. So you know you're going to see some things thrown out of there this afternoon. The surprise is Sean Bradley. Bradley has improved his game dramatically. Now he has tied Elijah.
Sean Elliott for 3. You mentioned Sean Elliott being the X factor, and he was one unhappy camper over his short stay in Detroit.
Well, he was, he's a fish out of water, and I think what it gave him was a greater appreciation of being with San Antonio. This is a guy that doesn't want to leave San Antonio a second time. The Nuggets on Friday night built their lead on the play that Reggie Williams just made, cutting down the lane, getting return passes. They stopped doing it, and Phoenix was able to get back in the game.
Terry Cummings. And look at David Robinson's follow. His first basket of the day. Spurs by 3. Rodney Rogers. Whistle blows. That shot will not count. And this will be on Terry Cummings before the shot. Let's go back to the other end and David Robinson.
Good post up by Terry Cummings, and David Robinson is just hanging around. Mutombo comes forward. That big left hand goes out, throws it down. He's on the scoreboard.
And now an offensive foul on the Denver Nuggets. That's Reggie Williams.
Reggie trying to set a screen, moved on the screen. Bickerstaff not happy. Go over there, and that is a painful look on an Easter Sunday.
Bernie Bickerstaff, his team 17-10 since he took over the head coaching reins back on the 20th of February. Sean Elliott wide open. And Williams comes away with it.
Mutombo right down the middle.
San Antonio 13 and Denver 12, and Mutombo has 4. And Jalen Rose looking for the steal. Johnson down the lane. Lost it. Looked for the foul. Didn't get it. Here come the Nuggets. Reggie Williams. Williams has 8 of Denver's 14 points, and the Nuggets lead by 1.
They're doubling to try to get the ball out of Avery Johnson's hands and also to quicken the pace of the game. They would like the Spurs to shoot and shoot quickly from the outside. This is one of David Robinson's shots. Doesn't get it.
Mutombo with another board. Here comes Denver again. Coming up on 6 minutes to play here in the first.
Now, Brian Stith is terrific on the post. They're going to get an illegal defense against the San Antonio Spurs. Bob Hill, not much of a reaction.
Nuggets get a new 24.
Now, Rodney Rogers has an advantage when he turns and faces the basket against Terry Cummings. Not the same when he tries to post him up and back him down.
Stith. Bryant Stith, as we mentioned at the outset, has been outstanding in the starting role in place of Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Well, the area that he's improved the most is his perimeter play. He's great on the post, but he wasn't so good last year out on the perimeter. He's worked all summer long on that. Now he has a great deal of confidence, will pull up and shoot the jump shot against anybody now.
Rodney Rogers. And Bob Hill wants a timeout, a 20-second timeout.
Team, and that he could get his young team ready to play against them. And I think a lot of it has to do with their intensity at the defensive end and the fact that they're now playing people further out on the perimeter and not just relying on the shot blocking of Mutombo.
David Robinson's jumper breaks an 8-point run by Denver. Nuggets have made their last 4 shots from the floor. Rogers off the baseline. That one's short. And look at Jalen Rose go up for the rebound. Rose back again on Avery Johnson. Nuggets by 5. Vinny Del Negro for 3. So Del Negro has 5, and it's the Nuggets 20, the Spurs 18. Reggie Williams.
Reggie Williams off to a terrific start. Struggled in the ball game against Phoenix in the first half. Got himself together in the second. 10 points here in the first quarter.
Del Negro again. That one's a 2. So it's 22-20. As both these clubs seem to find a little rhythm now.
Step down on the post, a couple of pump fakes, and he shows his strength. Gets that one to go against David Robinson.
Bryant Stiff in his 3rd year out of Virginia. And that one off the backboard and out of bounds. And it goes over to the Denver Nuggets. A couple of lineup changes now for San Antonio. Chuck Person into the game, and so is J.R. Reed.
With these lineup changes, you always get attitude changes, but what part of San Antonio's great season has been that all of these players accept their roles, they're willing to do whatever they can to win, and it translates into that intangible chemistry thing.
Stiff has 6, and Denver is shooting it right around 65% now.
They started the game Friday night 73% against the Phoenix Suns, and then forgot what their success was, and their percentage falls dramatically when they do that.
Reggie Williams looking down low to Rose.
They got a mismatch, and they want Jalen Rose to take advantage of Avery Johnson.
He does just that. Back in a hurry, Sean Elliott puts it up in a hurry. And a big rebound by Williams. Here come the Nuggets again. Williams to Rogers, and that's an offensive foul. That will not count.
Oh, that hurt.
Bernie Bickerstaff is beside himself.
Oh, that hurt. That hurts almost enough to cry. They got a good pass. David does a good job of bailing at the right time and gets the whistle.
28-20, Nuggets. 2:50 to play in the first. We'll be back.
The future for them, particularly at the defensive end.
Meanwhile, during that timeout, Bob Hill a little dissatisfied with the way his team's been going.
Well, he doesn't want his team to quick shoot the basketball. If you're not making those shots from the perimeter, he wants them to pull it back and then set up, trying to come inside to J.R. Reed.
And Mutombo got a piece of that one. Reggie Williams into the lane, kicks it outside. That's an offensive foul.
Anytime you come into the middle of this afternoon, you have to be aware of the shot blockers. This time it's the league leader, Mutombo, gets enough of that. J.R. Reed shot, able to control it, but they end up getting a turnover on that foul with Reggie Williams. Reggie Williams hot. He's going to have to come out of the ball game. And that was a problem for him against the Phoenix Suns. 2 early fouls. He's got 2 early fouls here in this afternoon's game.
Dale Ellis onto the floor for the Nuggets.
Brian Williams in as well, so their 2 big guys, power guys, are out on the floor right now.
Robinson goes cross court and outside. Chuck Person for 3.
Well, the 3 ball is on for San Antonio. Persons has 1, Elliott and Vinny Del Negro. So this is a team that if they get behind, have people that can counter quickly from deep. This is when the Nuggets get in trouble, right here, when they pound that ball, not sure where they want to go. Now they're against the shot clock. It's at 4.
Stiff. And Robinson with the board. Minute 45 to play here in the first.
Nice pass.
And J.R. Reed converts.
That's that basic thing, hit the open man.
The Spurs close to within 3 at 28-25.
Here's a guy they'd like to get a game from this afternoon, Brian Williams. Williams is working harder now than he ever has. Bernie has had a lot to say here. Does this tell you that he wants this game?
Well, Bernie just got himself a technical. technical.
Bernie didn't agree with the first one that they got, because the ball it was like in the first or second possession actually just fell out and stayed there. Well, I don't know if he's going to make it through. Look at that. You know, as the eyebrows get closer together.
Bernie Bickerstaff is the Denver head coach, general manager, president, chief cook and bottle washer.
Now, Avery Johnson's got to take that little jumper. He went a little bit too deep and made a tougher shot out of that than he has to. And he has the confidence and the ability to make that little 15-foot jump shot around the free throw line.
Rose finds Bryant stiff. Now Mutombo with the shot clock at 7 with the hook. Here comes San Antonio ahead. Robinson on the run, got fouled. And are they going to count the basket? Bob Hill wants it. Dick Pavetta, Terry Durham discuss it. And I don't think the Spurs are going to get it.
Shouldn't get it. Two of the best running centers in the NBA. Robinson looks like a natural runner and gets out a lot quicker. Here comes Mutombo, knocks it off the glass. And what's the real rule here? Does this ball have a chance to go in order for it to be a legitimate goal? That one was below the rim, wasn't going to go in anyway. But Robinson looks like a guy that really runs. And Mutombo, he lopes along and doesn't look the same way.
You're right. Bernie's on a short leash today.
He may not make it.
The Nuggets 30. The Spurs 27. We're in the last 45 seconds of the first period. Williams going to take it to the hoop. Brian Williams has 4.
Now they got a mismatch, and Avery Johnson danced around Brian Williams. Williams jumped out to get Mutombo off of him, and Tecumseh probably said, "You should have let me guard him, because we would have knocked away."
15 seconds. And Denver looking for one shot.
Well, they spread the floor, but Jalen Rose can just go right down and get a shot over Avery Johnson. It's a question, can he make it?
He did not. At the buzzer, Person off the rim. We've played one at McNichols Sports Arena. The Nuggets lead it by 3 on the strength of Reggie Williams. 10 points on 5 of 7 from the floor as the Nuggets chase the 8th and final playoff spot in the Western Conference. It's Denver 32 and San Antonio 29. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Welcome back to Denver as we get set for the start of the second period. Jalen Rose having a cut on his left hand, tended to, and it doesn't appear to be serious, but the Nuggets can ill afford to lose another guard, that's for sure.
Well, they're down in terms of manpower. Jalen Rose off to a terrific start. Mahmoud was thought to be ready. Practiced yesterday, but that leg is still sore and stiff, so they're going to hold him out for at least one more ball game.
This is the 3rd straight game that Abdul Rauf has missed with a bruise to his right leg.
So Greg Grant, who turned out to be the hero as the Phoenix Suns were closing in, they took a 15-16 point lead, cut it down to 5. He came up with a couple of key shots to give them breathing room, and then they won the game going away.
Dale Ellis pulls the trigger right away, and it doesn't hit. Grant had 8 fourth-quarter points and 4 assists in the Friday night win against Phoenix.
But, you know, we see small guards, and when you see small guards, you see big guards trying to take advantage of them, and right away, you get a foul.
Greg Grant just tried to shove Doc Rivers off the block.
This is the NBA at its best, and for guards, it's their big moment in the sun because they get to go down on the post. And little guards, they always take exception. Not today. Not this afternoon. They come right back, same play.
Rivers. Mutombo with his 4th block of the afternoon. Williams with the save.
Now, the way Williams is playing right now is the way that he played in the playoffs and was such a big boost for them against Seattle and the Utah Jazz before they were finally taken out.
Vinny Del Negro guilty of the foul. We talked with Bernie Bickerstaff yesterday about Brian Williams. He says, well, he's just getting healthy.
Yeah, he had a chip in his ankle. He had late negotiations. There's just been an assortment of problems for him, but he looks like all the lights are on this afternoon. Trying to post Brian Williams.
And the foul before the shot. Looks like it'll be in J.R. Reed. And there is the toughness in Brian Williams that you don't always see out of him.
You know, he's an emotional player and very up and down, but he's aggressive and ready to play. He's seen some balls go in, and that's even more of a factor for him. Dale Ellis is a guy they need to get off the mark early. He's missed his first 2.
32-29 Denver.
Now, J.R. Reed's going to back Reggie Williams down. What he's going to look for is a place to spin off of, try to get inside.
And Williams called for the foul.
That's his 3rd. What impresses me about San Antonio this afternoon is their recognition of advantages. Every time they have had an advantage, they have gone to it right away. Quick read of J.R. Reed is being guarded by a smaller, thinner Reggie Williams, and Reggie hurt him. Now he's got to go sit down, and he's not happy.
3 on Reggie Williams, and Rodney Rogers will replace him right after this shot. J.R. Reed misses it. We have not had a point scored here in the second period yet.
If the first quarter is an indication of how this afternoon's game goes, we're over 110 for the winner of this one. We'll find out whether the defenses really can start making either team play further out on the floor and start shooting deeper shots.
J.R. Reed missed them both. So the Nuggets now with Brian Williams, Dale Ellis, Greg Grant, Dikembe Mutombo, and Rodney Rogers on the floor. And Mutombo looks to go right at Robinson. Nothing there. Back out. Greg Grant. It's a 2-pointer. Doesn't fall. Mutombo gathers in the rebound. Inside. Foul. J.R. Reed. One thing we have seen is the Denver Nuggets owning the advantage on the boards, and that means Dennis Rodman has been missed.
No, that means Dennis Rodman's coming to the game. So Rodman played 22 minutes, had some shoulder spasms, and was thought to be hurt in his return ball game against Sacramento in San Antonio, but was fine. They worked it out. No re-injury to the shoulder.
Dale Ellis returned after a 14-game absence. Rodman did. Played 22 minutes, grabbed 15 rebounds.
Now right back to Doc Rivers against Greg Grant. What he's got to make sure to do is to find Mutombo. This time he knows where Mutombo is and gets David Robinson first 2 of the second quarter.
Robinson has 7. Denver's lead at 3. Rodney Rogers.
Now, when LaFonso Ellis gets back, you're going to see a terrific small forward in Rodney Rogers. Right now, he's playing a power position, and he has a tougher time against guys that are his size and a little bit taller.
Chuck Person out of the corner. And Grant comes back in a hurry. Fair number of sharpshooters on the floor, including Dale Ellis and Chuck Person.
These guys are guys that can heat up quickly and make the difference in a quarter in a game. Nice drive, Ellis, but he can't finish.
Vinny Del Negro open for 3. And this time Mutombo with the position on Rodman. Change of direction.
You see that quickness and ability to put the ball on the floor, and against a guy his size, he's just going to overpower him, and that's what he did against Chuck Person. He gets a second hoop of the quarter.
Under 8.5 to play here in the first half. Nuggets by 5.
trying to get the ball back to Doc Rivers down on the bounce.
That moves around and out. Chalk up another rebound for Mutombo.
Well, Mutombo, who wants to win the rebounding award at some point, is limiting the Spurs to one shot when they miss. See how Brian Williams does in his matchup with Rodman guarding him.
Grant tried to drop it off for Brian Williams, threw it away. Dikembe Mutombo has 10 rebounds already this afternoon.
Huge start from Mutombo. Now they got Williams against Robinson, and no chance for Brian Williams, and a quick whistle.
7 minutes, 40 seconds to play here at McNichols Arena in Denver. 38-33 Nuggets. This is the NBA on NBC. Who in his ABA and NBA career, regular and postseason, has played 53,766 minutes. Steve, that equates to 896 hours or 37 days.
Or something like 100,000 miles. That's why that tendon finally popped. He was terrific when he was young and a dominating player who, the longer he played, the better he played. And hopefully we'll get at least a chance to see him come back and play and retire.
Good lob from Rose to Brian Williams. 40-35 Denver. I always thought when Moses started to back up with the basketball, you should have had one of those beepers like they have on some trucks.
David Robinson is yet to get loose against Mutombo. This is a terrific read, and the reason it happens, no pressure on the passer. Rodman was anticipating Williams going out right over the top. Brian Williams off to a real good start.
Rodman battling Williams for the position, and he got called for the foul and just got hit with a technical. So Rodman gets the personal and the technical.
Now, hook up. Now, Rodman is one of those players that, you know, is not afraid to get his body on someone. If this is a technical, this is a cheap one right there. You know, and I know that it's because it's Dennis Rodman, but at least earn a technical.
Well, he got called for the personal on the positioning and then called for the technical for slapping the ball down. 41-35 Nuggets.
Bob Costas in New York, midway through the second quarter at the Charlotte Coliseum. The Hornets lead the Hawks by 7. Let's look in on some of that action. Larry Johnson here will spin into the lane, draw a double team, but he splits the defenders and he scores. Toward the end of the first quarter, Craig Elo hits a 3, and then as you see with less than 5 seconds left, he lays back, cuts into the passing lane, intercepts the inbound, gets off a shot as time winds down and misses, but Mookie Blaylock follows it in, and that brought the Hawks to within 1 at the end of the quarter, but they're down now 33-26. Charlotte is a half game behind Indiana for the Central Division lead, but the Pacers have the tiebreaker if they wind up tied for the season. Let's go back to Denver.
Hawks trying to rebound from an abysmal 70-point performance on Friday night.
They've been up and down and inconsistent, but they're going to be a playoff team, and they're trying to get their playoff game together. More importantly for Charlotte, they're trying to get that number 2 seed. They want to try to get enough wins to get by Indiana, and Indiana had a tough loss to the Knicks on Friday night.
Mutombo goes cross court to Brian Stiff, gets Doc Rivers in the air, and hits the jumper. That's 9 for Stiff. 43-35 Nuggets.
Patience by the Nuggets, and Mutombo that time was an excellent scoring chance for Stiff. Pump fake, Doc Rivers running, he steps in. Now last year he wouldn't have made this shot. On a consistent basis, that ball would not have gone in. He spent the summer working on that particular shot. This is the guy they really want to get going, and he creates a turnover.
Rogers, Rose, Rogers, bucket and the foul.
If you make mistakes, the Nuggets will make you pay. They're an up-and-down team. Jalen Rose looked like he almost had nowhere to go and found Rodney Rogers, the big reach. and Rogers will get a chance for a three-point play. Del Negro and Persons go down. Terry Cummings re-enters the game, as well as Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson. Now, Rodman's going to come out of the ball game. He doesn't want to come out. Just tell by the way he's walking, I'm not ready.
One of the things that Bob Hill was faced with was how well his team would perform in the absence of Dennis Rodman, and J.R. Reed and Terry Cummings helped fill the void very well.
Oh, they stepped up huge. Rodman was averaging 17 rebounds a ball game. When he left between the two, they were getting 16-8. They have the 15-game streak, and coach's dilemma is what to do now, and so they say he's working his way back into the line.
Sean Elliott. And Rodney Rogers chases it down. Six minutes to play in the first half. 46-35 Denver. Brian Williams.
That's the shot you want him taking. He's not that tough from the outside. Robinson wide open.
And David Robinson with the stuff, and he'll go to the line.
David Robinson just told his teammates, come on, let's wake up. And this is the kind of play that will wake you up out in front of the pack. And he's been beating most centers throughout his career with just his foot speed. Look at that face. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that.
At each end of the court. Robinson has 12, and it's 46-38.
Against a good team, you have to keep doing the things that help you get the lead, so the Nuggets can't afford to forget.
Rodney Rogers with a three. He has 12.
They can't afford to forget to move the ball to the open people. That last time down, Rodney Rogers was wide open for three.
Whistle on the drive by Rivers.
Even though Doc Rivers gets the call on this, you see the strength of Mutombo and his ability to react. Doc Rivers is clearly by Mutombo. Now watch Mutombo come from the rear and get this ball. This is where he is such a great shot blocker. Show him the ball, he'll take it away from him.
First of the game on Mutombo. And now Tommy Hammond's onto the floor for Denver in place of Brian Williams.
But they got big juice this afternoon from Brian Williams. A big, energetic start for Bernie Bickerstaff. Now he can rest him a little bit. Gets to see if he can get anything out of Tommy Hammond here over the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Rivers missed them both. Williams has 6 points on the day. Tommy Hammond's a 6'9", 60-year man from Georgia Tech, and a whistle on the play.
Yeah, this has been a tough matchup for Avery Johnson. Every time Jalen Rose has seen 6 against him, he's taken his 5 down on the box. Rodman, who has the habit of taking off his shoes during the break, says his feet hurt.
Yeah, mine too. Dennis, for the time he was in the lineup, did not have a single rebound.
He wasn't in very long. I mean, it was in long enough to get a technical. The Nuggets kept the pressure on. Bob Hill decided to make a change because that group has been working a little bit better, and Rodman didn't get enough minutes out on the floor to have any kind of impact.
Probably a ticklish situation for Bob Hill, too. He wants to be sure he doesn't lose Dennis Rodman, and that's where the leadership of a David Robinson comes in.
You know, their starting lineup today was 13-2, and that's tough for a coach to deal with. And, you know, Rodman understands that. I think that Rodman wants to be ready once the playoffs start. He wants to be part of it. Look at Mutombo.
I think Dikembe just got called for a cheap point. That's number 2 on him.
Mutombo said, look, I understand what the new rule is. It's a bent arm. Give me a bent arm, and I'm showing you how to bent arm. David Robinson has led the NBA the last 2 seasons in free throw attempts. And he started with John Lucas coming up with a game plan. Look at that reaction. No happy faces here on Easter Sunday.
Robinson now 5 out of 7 from the line this afternoon. 51-39. Robinson has 13 of San Antonio's 39.
What San Antonio wants to do is just stay close right now. They had a good first quarter, but it was an uphill first quarter. They haven't even gotten into this one here in the second.
Tommy Hammonds over Cummins, doesn't fall. Cummins with the rebound, stiff, forced to jump ball.
This was a kind of inspirational play that they had in the playoffs a year ago. Guys doing things, that little extra effort. And that ball looked like Terry Cummings had it. Stiff came in just to see if he could get a hand on it, gets a jump ball.
Stiff beat him to the jump. Tommy Hammonds chases it down. Rogers for 3. Missed everything.
Now, Avery Johnson could use his quickness to get into the lane, and that's what he did. He had Jalen Rose backing up. You know what he said? This time, you're in my office, and I'm going to make you pay. He went right by him the same way he did with Brian Williams. So you got to, if you're going to get to Avery Johnson, you got to get him earlier before he gets that speed up, and he's got that great ability to change direction.
That's 2 on Rose as Brian Williams replaces Dikembe Mutombo. You talked about the playoffs last year. The Denver Nuggets knocked out the Seattle Supersonics in the first round. After the Nuggets beat the Phoenix Suns here Friday night, Charles Barkley said it was a fluke. It's not going to happen again. And it didn't please the Denver Nuggets.
That is more motivation for them. And of course, you know, Phoenix was in a position where they almost got knocked out the previous year when the Lakers chased them to 5 games. Again, well, he gave it up because David Robinson came over, and now they make a turnover.
Robinson on the run down the lane. Elliott saves. It's out of bounds. And a foul.
Now you see who the vocal leaders are on this team. David Robinson, Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson more so than any other player. He's pulling them all together because he realizes they got a chance to make a little bit of a run here before the break. 3:52 left in the game. Jalen Rose has some turnovers in it and occasionally gets a little loose with the ball. That was a mistake, and that puts Sean Elliott on the line for a couple of free throws.
Meanwhile, 3rd personal now on Rodney Rogers. And they have a little fall for Elliott.
They have not hurt the Nuggets from the line.
So Ellis replaces Rogers. The Spurs as a team so far today, 8 out of 15. Now 9 for 16. 51-42, Nuggets by 9. We come up on 3:45 to play here in the first half. Robinson with a foot on the ball. That'll give Denver a new 24. Ellis.
Ellis has been a great catch-and-shoot scorer throughout his career in the NBA. What they like to do is get him down on the box, give him a screen, and if he can catch and shoot in rhythm, he's tough to handle.
Brian Williams comes away with this one. Stiff. And the Nuggets have regained the touch. Bryant Stiff has 11. Robinson. And this time over the back on Tommy Hammonds. .259 to play, and so far it's a Denver kind of Sunday. Greg Gumbel, Steve Jones, Jim Gray at Julius Irving, Peter Vesey. We'll look at the playoffs and preview Game 2 of our doubleheader coming up. New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls. Hammonds goes 1 for 2 from the line. Denver by 14 with 2:55 to play. Cummings on the run for Robinson.
Terry Cummings showing he's still got some mobility, made a nice, quick push with the ball to beat the defense. 10 1/4 for David Robinson.
And 15 on the day. Rose with a quick look for Dale Ellis.
What happens is players start overplaying Dale Ellis coming out on the screen, and then he goes back door. Terry Cummings still has the ability to dribble the ball for a guy his size and pass it. David Robinson on the finishing end. Brian Williams doing a little head over heels. This is when Robinson's tough. This is when he really hurts guys. Turned and face, quick step in, starting to build some steam himself. 12 1/4, 17 in the first half.
58-46. Denver's lead is 12. Dale Ellis again. How long did we watch him yesterday afternoon shoot that exact shot time and time again in practice?
You know, you get proficient at shooting the shots you're going to shoot in the game. David shoots that one all the time. That's a hammer with two hands over the top. 19 in the first half for David Robinson.
Bernie Bickerstaff wondering when anyone was going to put a body on him that trip down. 60-48.
But he's trying to rest Mutombo, who has a couple of quick fouls. They get a foul against Doc Rivers. But they have worked Dale Ellis, and Ellis is a kind of player, when he gets the torch, you got to stay with him, and that's what the Nuggets are doing. So they're working him off the screen, back and forth, and Ellis will go to the line.
And here comes LaFonso Ellis into the game right after this free throw. A most popular young man here in Denver. So Dale Ellis hits the first, and here comes LaFonso, his third year out of Notre Dame, activated on Friday, had surgery back in November for a stress fracture to the patella in his right knee.
A lot of people, and some just behind us, said, well, I don't want him to get hurt again. This guy has been working out for a month now, and on that knee, and it certainly has been able to withstand the rigors of 2-hour practices. In the Phoenix game, he got about 4 minutes of play. He's going to get a minute 20 here.
No brace on that knee either. Rivers for three. Off the mark. Ellis trying to track it down, stepped out of bounds. LaFonso played just 3 minutes on Friday night, had 1 rebound and 1 turnover.
He's a nervous player. He hasn't been able to settle himself down. Just to be part of the game when he's been missing all of the season, that's a big importance to him. Since they come back to David Robinson, he's got 14 in the quarter.
And that foul is on LaFonso Ellis. Big night for LaFonso Ellis last night. He was baptized. LaFonso and his wife.
You know what he's telling me? Look, I haven't been around. I don't know the rules. So you got to give me a break.
Hey, there's one way to learn it real quick.
You know.
David Robinson now with 20 points, 8 rebounds, and a blocked shot.
Well, he's got 15, working on 16 here in the quarter. He's doing his job, just keeping his team close. When you say close, you're talking about a 10 to 12 point lead in the NBA, and San Antonio certainly within striking distance.
Under a minute to play now in the first half. And another whistle down low, and it looks like Doc Rivers again. That's number 3 on Rivers.
You know, he's saying, I used to get away with this in New York. Now watch it come down. A little pop right there. And before you were able to get in front of a player and impede his progress, the NBA and trying to clean things up have taken a lot of those kinds of plays out. So you got to let a player run. You have to let him at least have a space to go to.
Chuck Person onto the floor. Spurs now with Person, Elliott, Avery Johnson, Terry Cummings, and David Robinson.
A lot of people question Jalen Rose's ability to play the point in the NBA. He's improving on his decision making. He's got size. His shot selection is getting better. He's got 10 here in the first half of play.
And 11 assists so far.
They told him to go help, and that means that there's a man advantage for San Antonio. They get an illegal defense.
With 44 to play. You know, Jalen Rose, you're talking about him at the point, and Bernie Bickerstaff says he has worked long and hard in talking to Jalen about down the stretch. It's more important to dish it out and help your teammates, get everybody set up, and you'll be rewarded overall.
You know, it's a good philosophy, and the best thing is that he's willing to listen. Mahmoud, and they all listen to Bernie. I mean, it's very interesting. You hear him talk about discipline. That's the one thing he's brought.
LaFonso Ellis got a block, but the Spurs get 2 more.
Brian Stith is the guy that's guilty. Good, strong drive, and the help defense, which was missing without LaFonso Ellis. Terry Cummings there, and on the back. Brian Stith, Cummings has a chance for a 3-point play.
Second personal for Stith. And Cummings converts. 64-53 with 35 seconds to play. High scoring first half. Ellis can't get it to fall. And Bob Hill wants 1 shot from the Spurs to close out the half.
Trying to set up a screen roll situation for Avery Johnson, Sean Elliott.
Elliott on the baseline, tried the reverse. Cummings no good. And this half is over. Awfully good effort out of David Robinson. 21 points, 8 rebounds, and a block. But it's the Denver Nuggets who hold the advantage at the break. It's Denver 64 and the Spurs 53. Back in Denver, 64-53 Nuggets as we get set to start the second half. The leading scorers today, David Robinson with the Spurs, 21 points on 7 of 11 from the floor. He also has 8 rebounds and a blocked shot. Meanwhile, Rodney Rogers leads the way with 12 for the Denver Nuggets.
The Nuggets have balance. They got 6 players with 10 or more. Reggie Williams got all 10 of his in the first quarter and got foul trouble, didn't score, comes out with a mistake. And we'll see if the speech at halftime gets San Antonio into this.
Cummings flips to Robinson.
Said no to Kimbe.
David Robinson with 23 so far today. 64-55.
David Robinson sprained both of his ankles during the course of this season. Also has a little bit of a toe problem, but that's not going to keep him from playing. Nice recovery for Rodney Rogers.
Let's go back to the other end and look at Mr. Robinson.
Sharing the basketball is what coaches always try to get people to talk about. Right there, he comes up off of that ankle, and it was because someone had stepped on it, but he's still in the play. And he seems to be okay.
Second personal on Terry Cummings will send Rodney Rogers to the line. This is a big man who is awfully quick, Steve.
A big young man. Let's emphasize that this is a guy that is still a baby and is
still growing.
Still growing.
How would you like to have him coming home to your house hungry every night?
But he has got a ton of talent. He can shoot it deep. He puts it on the floor. He can go inside, and they project him to be their small forward. So when they put a lineup of Rodney Rogers, LaFonso Ellis, and Matimbo out there on the floor, that's a big team.
Rodney Rogers, 6'7", 255 out of Wake Forest. Elliott. Del Negro.
And then he had the torch going early. Hasn't gotten it back. David passed up the shot. Terry Cummings trying to get the ball back for the second time.
Reggie Williams for 3. And a nice job by Rodney Rogers to keep it alive and score. Rogers with 14 and another 11-point lead for Denver. Johnson.
Top drive. Top drive.
Rodney Rogers came out to help on defense. Johnson saw the lane open up and scored.
See if the Nuggets continue to pass the basketball to the open man and get the perimeter shot to go in. That was a good look for Rodney Rogers. Couldn't catch.
Now Cummings spins on Rogers and goes to the reverse.
Now, there's one thing you can always say about a scorer. They never lose that instinct. And Terry Cummings, even though he is a spot player at this point in his career, still knows how to hurt a team down on the box.
Terry Cummings, the #2 pick in the draft back in 1982 by San Diego. In his 13th season out of DePaul University.
As you get older and you get wiser, you can't jump as high, but you know how to use other parts of the rim to help you. Stretched out that time, came out the other side.
Rogers' three-pointer off the mark. Mutombo comes down with it. 12 rebounds from Mutombo.
That's the move that David Robinson hoped to take away, and that's the first time we've seen it this afternoon from Mutombo. Big hoop for the Nuggets.
David calls it Dikembe's step through. And now a foul on Mutombo.
This is a move that Kevin McHale really made popular amongst big people. You go up and under, and you're at the basket. So they go for that initial move, and then you come back the other way. Mutombo has not been a scoring factor, third personal foul, but he has been a force defensively, 4 block shots here early.
And 12 rebounds. Robinson. David Robinson continues to drop them through.
They're trying to make the Nuggets an outside shooting team and trying to really get to the guy with the shot a lot earlier.
So it's been Rodney Rogers with the early spark here in the third quarter. He has 16.
But it's a 9-point game, and you know, the Spurs believe in themselves and their ability to play from the rear. We'll see if that's going to be evident this afternoon.
Cummings with Rose on him, and a nice pass for Avery Johnson. Spurs close to within 7.
Dikembe likes to hook from here, and he really wasn't in a good position the first time around. Gave it up and got himself in a little bit of trouble.
Johnson goes down, comes back out. Shot clock down to 10. Johnson on the drive and fouled, and Bryant Stiff looks like he caught a hand in the face.
Avery Johnson has moments where he'll try to take over a stretch of the ball game. He had a mismatch, realizing he had the big guy on him. Big grunt from a little man that time to get to the free throw line, but he's got 4 personal fouls against Rodney Rogers with that play. Avery Johnson has 4 points here in the quarter, all of them driving, slashing. If you're guarding him, you got to know his first thought is to take the ball to the rim.
Rodney Rogers has fouled out a team-high 7 times this season. And he goes to the bench with 4 personals.
Well, that is part of that youth that we spoke of. He's got to learn how to keep himself out of those situations and play with 4 fouls sometimes without getting the 5th.
Spurs within 6. Cummings. And Robinson with the board and tipped back out. Johnson. How many times have we seen Johnson do that this afternoon?
Well, 4 times here in the third quarter, and Bernie has seen enough. 7 points for Avery Johnson, but he got it on a save by David Robinson. They don't get to him. Nobody's guarding him. Now, if you're not going to guard a guy, he's going to hurt you, and that's what Avery Johnson is trying to do.
Nuggets lead is down to 4. We'll be back.
7, shoot a high percentage, and keep everybody involved. He knows that he can get Glenn Rice his number when he's right.
Meanwhile, during that timeout, Jim Gray tells us Bernie Bickerstaff not at all pleased with the way his team has let control of this basketball game slip away. And Brian Williams loses the handle.
There's an example of what happens to Brian Williams sometimes in trying to do too much too quickly. Lost control of that basketball. Had a good medium range jump shot. Tried to get in deeper. Was going to have trouble getting the score anyway. And it ends up in a turnover.
Denver shooting just 38% in this quarter, while San Antonio hitting at a 67% clip. And Denver's not helped matters with 7 turnovers.
Sean Elliott rarely goes left, but that time he thought he had a throwdown. Hit the back iron. This is where David Robinson would like to see Mutombo out here so he can use his quickness to get in. Brian Williams clogs up the lane.
Del Negro with a 3. That's his 3rd three-pointer this afternoon, and the Spurs are back to within 1.
This is what happened to the Nuggets on Friday night after having a big lead. They lost it, forgot how they got it. Another turnover, so they've had successive turnovers, and the Spurs trying to reignite themselves. Almost got another fast break opportunity.
Sorry. And now Dale Ellis coming in off the Denver bench.
Ellis had 10 in the second quarter, and they need to get down to finding out who's going to be able to score points for them here in the third quarter because they're struggling. Rodney Rogers had 4 early, and that's been it.
Avery Johnson sets up David Robinson. Robinson has 27, and the Spurs lead 71-70.
And this is a sign of a good team, the Spurs in black. Being down most of the first half, but staying within themselves to do what they do best. 3 straight turnovers now for the Nuggets.
Dale Ellis got caught in midair and nothing to do with it. Elliott on the spin. Sean Elliott. Bernie Bickerstaff says, we got to talk about this. The San Antonio Spurs have been red hot.
Sean Elliott coming hard to his left hand and then off the glass. That's the first 2 here in the second half for him, but they have taken control of the ball game.
San Antonio by 3. 5:36 to play in the third. San Antonio has caught fire, and Denver turnovers aren't helping any, Steve.
And the reason for it is the defensive energy of San Antonio. In the first half, Dale Ellis didn't have anybody running at him. Didn't have to worry about trying to change his shot. They turn it over 3 in a row, and every one of those turnovers cost them Mutombo Ellis back in the game.
San Antonio has outscored the Nuggets 20-6 here in the third quarter. Mutombo, offensive foul. And he decked David Robinson.
Mutombo has always been a player that plays with the elbows up and high, and David Robinson takes this one right on the chin. Now watch, he's just a kind of gangly, awkward kind of player that if you have your head around his elbow, you're going to get a shot. Robinson down for a standing 8 count.
Mutombo out with his 4th personal foul. Brian Williams back on the floor. 3-point lead for the Spurs. They have the ball.
Well, the Spurs know that their chance to get control of the ball game is now. Robinson stays in. He's doing big-time damage against Brian Williams. 8 in the quarter for David, 29 on the afternoon.
Under 5 minutes to play now. 5-point lead for the Spurs.
Yeah, the real key for the Nuggets is to maintain their composure and remember what worked for them. This is one of the plays that worked for them. Rose against Avery Johnson, but he made a tougher shot out of that than he had to.
Johnson with the setup for Sean Elliott, and he'll shoot 2.
When you play David Robinson, you have to be aware of him facing the basket. Great first step into the basket by the defender, and 2 more for Robinson, who's rolling now. He's even running like a guy that's rolling.
Steve, I know you're fond of saying a team should always keep in mind what worked for them. Reggie Williams had 10 points in the first quarter, has not scored since 2:28 left in the first and has only taken one shot since.
You know, a lot of times when everybody gets in it, you forget where your advantage, disadvantage is. Early in the ball game, the Nuggets made great reads on that, and they got everybody scoring. Reggie was able to get off very quickly. Now they've got to reestablish him, and they've got to remember how they did it. Sean Elliott was guarding Reggie Williams, and Reggie was very active and able to get open. Sean Elliott is now guarding Dale Ellis.
7-point lead for San Antonio. 4.5 to play in the third. Reggie Williams for three. Ellis kicks it back to Brian Williams. He can't get it to fall. Here come the Spurs again.
Now the difference is the Spurs in black are beating them down the floor.
Bernie Bickerstaff says Jalen Rose got back in time. Terry Durham says otherwise.
Good push ahead and a save by Jalen Rose. He thought he was going to be able to get it, but he was on the line. The Nuggets have scored just 6 points in 8 minutes of play, and a foul, Jalen Rose.
The Spurs have scored 16 straight points. You see the Nuggets scoring problems there.
Good teams make you pay for scoring drought. And the Nuggets have contributed to their own demise by being quick to make decisions with the basketball and turning the ball over. They got to show some patience and show a little bit of glue and poise now.
Greg Grant on the floor. Person for three. And here comes Reggie Williams. Here's Ellis.
And LaFonso Ellis needs to get something close to the basket to really get him into the game. He's still got that nervous energy and not certain about his offense. 7 on the shot clock.
Williams going to have to throw one up, and he drew the foul. That's a break for the Nuggets.
Yeah, that was part of his arsenal when he was at Georgetown, and that was one of his miracle shots. One-legged drive, but he brought that one back, and Sean Elliott thought he was going to be able to block it. He took a swipe at it. Reggie Williams now has a chance to break that drought. Doesn't get it. Nobody had a tougher time as a #1 pick establishing himself than Reggie. He has found a home here, misses both the free throws.
And nails the three. That breaks the Spurs' run of 16 straight points.
It gets the crowd in it. What the Nuggets want to do is survive this. They want to be able to stay close.
Person.
But they are being carved up with the passing and recognition of David Robinson and San Antonio.
Tapped out of bounds to San Antonio.
Now, what happens to teams when they are struggling? They start looking to the officials to bail them out, and what they have to do is just gear down and play harder and do the things that will get them in control of the ball game again.
David Robinson fouled from behind. This one will be on Brian Williams.
He's dancing now.
That's number 3.
The big fella is dancing. He crossed over. You don't even have much room to cross over. Watch this. Now, Brian Williams jumps the other way. LaFonso Ellis comes in to try to help out. But David Robinson is feeling awful giddy right now. He knows he's got it going inside, and his team has got control of the third quarter.
We heard Sean Elliott talk about the confidence of this team. He's the face of this team, and he exudes confidence.
Oh, there's no question. In the first half, he wasn't making free throws. Now he's making everything, and they got the Nuggets down by 8. Huge turnaround. 31 points for David Robinson today. 81-73 Spurs. So when you get a vote, is he going to be your MVP?
I'd say it'd be hard not to vote for David Robinson.
I think the race comes down to 3 people: David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal, Karl Malone. All 3 guys have had terrific seasons. Their teams have had big runs, but it looks like San Antonio and David have the biggest finish, and I think that's where he's going to pull the most votes. Oh, LaFonso Ellis just pushed off. Just pushed off. There are the guys, the MVP guys, and all of them. It's tough to match 70%, and David has a little bit of edge on all of them. Last year, he was edged out by Elijah One, whose team had the best record. It looks like he's going to pull it in this year.
2:20 to play here in the third. 81-73 Spurs.
Too easy. Oh, they're going to get it.
Traveling call. Elliott called for the travel before the foul.
And remember, Sean Elliott has told us when we had him on tape, hey, they can make a run at us. We don't get worried. They were in a hole. They dug themselves out of a huge hole and got a big lead.
Reggie Williams' shot doesn't fall. Big rebound inside and a whistle.
Indiana has to have this game this afternoon. They got a big lead over Minnesota.
First personal foul on Chuck Person. Here's Williams. Looking for shooting room. Takes a drive across the lane, and the whistle blows. That'll be Elliott.
It's a team penalty situation, so Reggie, who missed both of his free throws last time, will go to the line. But he has the ability to put the ball on the floor. You can see Sean Elliott not reacting very well to that, and gets the foul called against him.
Reggie now 1 out of 3 from the line as Tommy Hammonds comes in to replace LaFonso Ellis. Nuggets down 6. And coming up on 1:50 to play here in the third. David Robinson wants more.
They're right now being willing to make the extra pass, make the defense, make that rotation. The first shot that's going to go dead for you is that long perimeter shot, and the Nuggets try to run out of it.
Grant for 3. And Robinson tipped it away from Hammond.
Oh, they missed a wide open Chuck Person down at the other end. Greg Grant didn't know where he was, and Person was open, so they lucked out with that pressure in the backcourt.
Robinson batted out of his hands. Reed follows. No good. Robinson thought he was fouled. There was no call. Here comes Grant.
Right now, the Nuggets just don't know where they want to go to get a score. They're dribbling around, and they're trying to make some things happen, but there's no real idea. Brian Williams trying to bull his way in. David Robinson wiped it out.
Second block of the day for Robinson. 40 seconds to play here in the third. Spurs with the ball in a 6-point lead. Reed, and again, Grant strips the ball. Up ahead for Dale Ellis. Greg Grant was a spark plug here Friday night.
Couple of big strips for him because they were close at the basket both times.
Sean Elliott at the buzzer. Well, have the Nuggets regained some of the poise that they lost? That man is carrying the San Antonio Spurs right now. 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks. At the end of 3, the Nuggets 77. Therefore, hey, we got tough crews. Start of the fourth quarter.
Well, Rocky shows he's got a tough chin. He's taken a couple of knockdowns, but he keeps coming back. See if the Nuggets come back as they pressure Doc Rivers.
J.R. Reed.
J.R. Reed likes to spin off of a body. They got 5 on the shot clock.
Doc Rivers' shot doesn't fall. Here come the Nuggets. got a lot of help.
The defensive energy that the Nuggets have at the top of the period is going to be important for them. But Brian Williams has not been able to deal with David Robinson whenever he's been out on the perimeter. He's been able to get that quick first step by him, picks up another foul, but right here, Brian Williams just can't keep moving his feet. And if you don't move your feet, he's going to get into the lane. His reaction is, should have had the hoop.
That one doesn't fall for David Robinson.
Mutombo has to wait probably another minute or two. Got 4 personal fouls. Robinson missed them both.
David Robinson has not taken a seat on the bench in this game yet today.
I guess that tells you it's a big game. Coach is now going to bring back the X factor for them, Dennis Rodman. Rodman has been missing this afternoon. Not much of a chance to play. Only 4 minutes. Hasn't really done anything. Let's see if he can get his head into this game.
He replaces J.R. Reed. Nuggets down 4.
And where the Nuggets get in trouble is when they try to set that screen and it's not there for them. They come back and Rodman picks up his second personal foul.
No, this one goes against Denver. This one's on Hammonds.
It's a lane violation, so we're both in.
Well, it's only fair. 10:40 to play in the game. Person goes back the other way. Rivers for 3. This one falls. His first 3 points of the game, 84-77 San Antonio. Ellis. And this one is against Tommy Hammonds. Called Hammonds on the pick.
Trying to come down and set the screens. You'll see if he's moving here as he steps over, gets the hip into Chuck Person.
You see, I was right. I was just about a minute and a half too early.
They did the right thing the last time. They sent someone to help Brian Williams. They can't allow Brian Williams to try to deal with David Robinson one-on-one. It's been too easy, and it's another 2 for David. He's got 33 on the afternoon. First 2 here in the 4th. And Reggie Williams trying to clear out things and get a shot for Brian Williams diving down the lane.
And Robinson gets the block, but a whistle blows on the play, and a foul is called on Vinny Del Negro. 9:42 to play in the 3rd. 86-77 Spurs. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Genuine moments.
Today's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Moment takes us back to the first round of the 1990 Western Conference playoffs. David Robinson's rookie season. His Spurs swept the Nuggets in 3, led in Game 3 by 28 points out of Terry Cummings. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. That year, the Spurs went on to meet the Portland Trail Blazers in the next round, lost in 7 games. Game 7 went to OT. And the Blazers beat the Suns in the conference finals and then lost in the finals to Detroit. There's the man so far today.
Well, what he has demonstrated this year, perhaps better than even a year ago, that in the big games he plays better and has been able to deliver the goods at both ends of the floor. Mutombo trying to get back in the ball game for the shooter, Brian Williams, as Williams got fouled the last time. I think it was on Doc Rivers.
It was on Rivers, and you're talking about how Robinson comes up big. This stretch run where the Spurs are trying to secure the best record in the league. Williams with the miss. Coming into this game today, over his last 7 games, David Robinson was averaging 28 points, 13 rebounds, more than 3.5 blocks, and shooting 54% from the floor.
and the coach is saying, can you give me just a little bit more thing? You know, I'm not quite sure we're over the hump yet.
Williams gets 1 out of 2 on that trip to the line. 86-78 Spurs.
They're coming back to David Robinson, and the defense now has to react. They can't let David Robinson just make plays. Makes a nice pass to the cutting Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson with 15. He has been a quiet force for San Antonio.
He's the guy that got him started in that third quarter with the 7 straight points.
Williams overshoots. There's Rodman's first rebound of the day, and he was fouled from behind.
You double David Robinson at the wrong time and they'll make you pay. Anytime you give the ball up, you got to go to the basket. San Antonio has done that on more than one occasion this afternoon, and it's hurt. Reggie Williams out, Brian Williams out. Brian stepped in along with Dale Ellis.
Rodney Rogers has 5 personal fouls.
It's on the shot clock. That's the first outside shot that David has had to take here in the second half. Nuggets still have plenty of time to get back in this one. Down 10.
Rogers on the drive. Ellis off the baseline. Missed everything. And the Spurs lost the handle. Is Dennis having fun yet?
Not yet. He's starting to work his way into it. This guy's not having any fun now. His team down on the scoreboard after a 13-point third quarter. He's got to see him come up with some points. The guys that can score the ball for them, Stiff, Ellis.
It's Dale Ellis with the 3. 88-81.
Now, they got to control this guy with the basketball. And Jalen Rose has had trouble really getting up on him. That's allowed them to throw the ball over the defense, and then they're chasing. 5 on the shot clock.
Del Negro going to have to throw it up from 3. Hits the front rim, and Rose has the rebound. Long pass ahead. Rogers in on Robinson. And the foul. That's a heck of a move for a second-year man.
You know, watch him. He dances twice on David Robinson, then comes back in and goes off the glass to get the foul. This guy shows you some incredible offensive ability. Third foul against Robinson, third team. Now, the third team foul, as they get closer to the penalty, could be a big help for the Nuggets in trying to get back in the lane. Rogers misses the free throw.
Rodney Rogers struggles at the free throw line, shooting just 65% on the season, and he's 0 for 3 from there today. Robinson, another outside shot. And the Spurs win the battle for this one. Helped keeping it alive, Dennis Rodman.
Rodman not happy. He wanted that rebound. He knows he still needs some numbers. Mutombo. 5th foul, Mutombo. Mistake, Mutombo.
Well, most everyone has their hands full with David Robinson, and it's no exception today.
Rodman's reaction to not being able to control that rebound, shucks, I haven't had any today.
Isn't that just like Dennis to say shucks?
Yes, it is. Mutombo now has to come back out of the ball game. Bernie took a gamble, had him in at 9:42, got a couple of minutes out of him, and Bernie's telling him, hey, that wasn't the official's fault. You just flat out pushed him.
7:20 to play in the game.
But the defensive energy of the Nuggets has picked up. Now they get another foul, this one against Dale Ellis.
And for Ellis, that's number 2. Bernie Bickerstaff made the point earlier today to his team. Don't let the officials take you out of this game. Don't blame the officials.
Couple of pops right there in the back of Sean Elliott, but their defensive energy is better. They're up and they're challenging the ball steal Ellis.
Ellis comes back with the defensive play.
Good play here if they can score.
Rose to Brian Williams. 88-85.
And what's got them back in the game is San Antonio's become more of a perimeter team. They're shooting the ball against the shot clock, not being able to control it.
Shot clock already down to 8. And Brian Williams trying to figure out what Robinson is going to do. Shot clock at 3. He's going to put it up and hit. Big shot by David Robinson. He has 35. And it's a 5-point lead.
Even though David Robinson made that shot, that's a better shot for Brian Williams to see come up against him because he can't handle the layup.
Robinson's spin, his shot won't fall.
It's a 5-point game, so the Nuggets have to realize they don't have to catch up all at once. They've got 6 minutes on the clock, so there's plenty of time for them to get back in it. Shot clock at 5.
And now Johnson's going to have to find. That's an offensive foul.
You see, in the last 5 possessions, the shot clock has gone down to 5 or less, and it's hurt San Antonio.
San Antonio 90, Denver 85. We're headed for a big finish. Right here on NBC.
A 5-minute, 30-second ball game in front of us now, and what is required for the Nuggets to get on top is composure. Go to the guy that's got the advantage and a chance to score.
Bryant stiff for 3. And Robinson with the rebound. Sean Elliott. And Brian Williams will be called for the foul.
That was a huge effort, though, by Brian Williams to get all the way back and to get a piece of this ball. That's the kind of effort that coaches really love. David Robinson sees him wide open, kind of a floater, and got the hand.
That's 5 on Williams. Elliott will shoot 2.
The Nuggets, with the last couple of fouls, beat San Antonio to the penalty. Sean Elliott misses his first.
Elliott now 2 out of 5 from the line today. That's terrible for an 80% shooter on the year.
No, it is. He has struggled from there. He just told himself, okay, settle down, go through your routine, see if you can get some sort of free throw confidence back.
3 out of 6 on the day. 91-85. Elliott has 12.
Ryan Stiff down on the post has been a real good spot for them. They're going to get a foul here. We'll see if they get the first one first. Doc Rivers. Down here on the post, and Stiff and Doc Rivers hook up right there, and he's trying to pop 3, and he gives him a good pop, but the reason he's doing it is he's being held. That's 5 on Doc Rivers. Doc is saying, I can't get into this game. You know, I'm old. I can't, you know, it takes me a little bit longer to warm up.
We were teasing Doc about that just prior to the game. By the time he gets into the game, all of his warm-ups are for naught.
They come back to Brian Stiff. Stiff is pretty good for them under the gun. This is when they get in trouble, when they just stand out and pound the ball. They don't look like they know where they're going, and the shot comes up.
Oh, my goodness! Rodney Rogers! That may be the best I've seen all season.
I've seen him throw down some, but this is really incredible. It comes from the top of the key. No one gets a body on him, and then just catches and throws it down. And everybody off their feet. Sean Elliott will come back to shoot the free throw, but this shows you just how athletic this young guy is and how big a force he's going to be as he gets better.
Meanwhile, Jalen Rose has drawn a technical foul after his 4th personal. And if that doesn't take the wind out of a team.
Jalen not happy, and you can see Bernie not happy either, saying, you know, these are the things you have to learn. Your emotions are critical to how the game can work for us or against us. Hey, look at those eyes. That forehead belongs in some sort of Jason movie.
So the Spurs get 3 points out of it. And a 94-87 lead.
You know, and that throwdown by Rodney Rogers was something that really got the crowd excited. Right now, Denver's not helping themselves because they're picking up a lot of cheap loose ball fouls. Brian Williams gets another one.
And I think he just fouled out.
Rodney Rogers trying to get back in. The ball comes over his head. Now, right here, you got to realize Rodman's got control of that ball, and he goes out of the ball game. Mutombo has got to return at some point. I think Bernie is electing right now to stay small.
So Williams staying on the lane. I don't think they're going to let him stay there for long.
Bernie's using all of his time right now. He's saying, look, I have some time. Don't I have some time to make my substitution? Mutombo.
Meanwhile, Brian Williams now turns and walks off the court as Mutombo returns. And Mutombo has 5 personals. Dennis Rodman doing a little posing after the free throw.
Well, now you can say he's having fun.
Yeah.
You know, he hadn't done his day's work like he'd like and been able to get the glass, but pair of free throws.
Rodman hits them both, his first 2 of the day. Coming up on 4.5 to play, and the Spurs have extended to a 96-87 lead.
A 9-point game. Here's where they have an advantage. Right here with Brian Stiff. Didn't go by him on the dribble. Now it's up to Rodney Rogers.
And the whistle. Rogers doesn't get the basket, but he'll go to the line to shoot 2. The foul is on Rodman.
The ability to put the ball on the floor with strength and control is what makes him so exceptional as an offensive threat. Has struggled at the free throw line. They need 2 now.
Rogers now 1 out of 5 from the line this afternoon.
Now, a guy that can shoot deep like he can shoot and shoot jump shots shouldn't have the trouble at the line, and it's mostly a mental thing with him.
It's 1 out of 2, 96-88. Spurs, 4:20 to play. Robinson. And now back on top as the Spurs use a little clock.
Now, you know, the Nuggets want to be aggressive, but they've got to use their head, and they haven't done that very much here lately. Robinson against the clock.
And Rogers with the position on Rodman, and the foul is on Dennis Rodman.
Robinson against the clock, and Rodney Rogers using his strength and everything else he can get going for him against Rodman. One of Rodman's tricks, if you can keep your body on it, keep your hands on him, push and grab, Rodman gets caught. Rodney Rogers comes back to the line, and we have a timeout.
Spurs call it with 4:01 to play in the game. San Antonio 96, Denver 88. You are watching the NBA on NBC. Coming up next on NBC, you'll want to stay tuned for Game 2 of our NBA doubleheader. Michael Jordan and the Bulls take on the New York Knicks. 3 weeks ago, Michael scored 55 against New York. What's he going to do today? It's Michael Jordan and the Bulls hosting Patrick Ewing and the New York Knicks coming up next here on NBC. Greg Gumbel, Steve Jones, Jim Gray at McNichols Sports Arena. 4:01 to play in the game. San Antonio leads at 96-88. And Rodney Rogers, who has struggled from the free throw line, just 2 out of 6 today. We'll give it another go.
He's been their offensive torch this afternoon, particularly in the second half, in which they struggled to score. He's got 6 in the quarter, 22 on the afternoon. So he's doing what David Robinson did earlier, keeping his team close, but he can't make a free throw.
And Greg Grant comes away with the loose ball. Rogers in the lane. Got it! And he'll go to the line again.
So they make a good hustle play. Rodney Rogers show and tell, brings it back and underneath, and Rodman gets called for a little push underneath, so he has a chance for a three-point play. Big time reaction now. Can he make the throw?
Both these teams shooting less than 70% from the line today. Rogers makes it a three-point play. He has 25, and the Nuggets are back to within 4. We're under 4 minutes to play for the game. Greg Gumbel, Steve Jones, Jim Gray back at McNichols Arena in Denver. 2:07 to play in the game. There you see the timeout situation. The Spurs 98 and the Nuggets 97. Denver pulling in to within a point off of a big three-pointer right here from Dale Ellis.
Yeah, this is what caused the celebration as the Denver Nuggets were riding Rodney Rogers, and then they got a big boost from Dale Ellis, who had just gotten into the ball game. And Jalen Rose emotional, but in a positive way this time.
Clock is running, coming up on 2 minutes to play in the game. Sean Elliott down the lane. Mutombo got a block. Elliott. A minute 35 to play. Reggie Williams for 3. No Rodman with the rebound as we welcome those of you who have watched Charlotte and Atlanta. I'm Greg Gumbel along with Steve Jones and Jim Gray. We have a minute 10 to play in this game. San Antonio leading Denver by 1. David Robinson, good.
Well, everybody else tightened up, and they were having trouble figuring out where or how to get a shot as you see the final Atlanta bench, and it's a big game for them. Big trouble here for Denver right now.
David Robinson, 37 points. San Antonio by 3. We'll be back in just a moment. David Robinson jumper has put the Spurs up by 3. Jim Gray is near the Denver bench. Jim.
Well, Bernie Bickerstaff just told his team, Greg, we don't need a three-pointer right here. Let's take our first best shot available. Let's look for the 2. Forget about the 3. Get back and play some good defense. So the 2 is what they'll be looking for here. Greg?
All right, Jim. Inbounding the ball to Greg Grant.
They've got a couple of possessions. They know that, so that's why that strategy works. And Rodney Rogers tried to throw it down.
Mutombo got fouled. And a bit of a face-off between Mutombo and Dennis Rodman.
Rodney Rogers thought he had the first one. David Robinson got a piece of the ball, and Mutombo gets it back there. Rodman's underneath and just gets tangled up right there and then doesn't let go.
Now, Mutombo has been putting in some extra practice time with free throws. He spent half an hour shooting free throws at Minnesota last week, went 8 for 8 in that game. His free throw percentage was as high as 67%. He comes into this game at 65.2, and this is his first trip to the line today.
He shot it like he's been shooting them all afternoon, and that was a big first free throw for the Nuggets.
Dikembe with 7 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocked shots. He got them both. 100-99. The Spurs by 1, under a minute to play.
Watch the shot clock now. They took it out a good chance to hold it. Sean Elliott.
On the drive, Mutombo got that one. Rodman with the rebound. And Bernie Bickerstaff wants a timeout, and he gets it. Big defensive stand by the Denver Nuggets.
Sean Elliott is terrific at taking the ball to the rim, laid it out there. Mutombo knocked it away. Robinson couldn't control it. They got it back to Elliott, knocked away again by the presence of Mutombo, and then he finally gets control of the ball.
1-point game. We'll be back. All right, Bob, and there is David Robinson, an outstanding performance today. And his counterpart, Dikembe Mutombo, has done what he does best. 7 blocked shots, the 29th time this season that he has more blocks than the entire opposing team.
He is huge down the stretch. Now the Nuggets have the possession, 24 seconds. Let's see if they come back to either Dale Ellis or Rodney Rogers. And they're having trouble right now getting Dale Ellis free.
Doc Rivers all over Ellis. Here's Reggie Williams, shot clock at 8. Williams. The hard pass inside off the chest of Mutombo, and no one's made a call yet, and now it goes to Denver.
Well, that was a tough pass for Dikembe simply because, you know, he's a guy that's got to see the ball coming. That was a bullet in him. You got to have a guy with great hands. And Bernie Bickerstaff says we got 3 seconds, 9.7 left in the game. We got to get a ball in the air, and they got to do it quick.
Now here's the situation: 9.7 to play for the game, 3 seconds on the shot clock.
Well, there's plenty of time with 3 seconds to get a good shot. Their concern is to beat the shot clock and to be able to give themselves a second chance should they miss. They want to try to get a score, put the pressure back on San Antonio.
Let's go back to the previous play.
Well, his team really stepped up right here, and Reggie started to go to the basket. I think he had second thoughts right here. Hill was helping make the play, and then a rifle pass right there on the money. But Mutombo is not the kind of player that's going to be able to handle that kind of pass.
Reggie Williams to inbound. Ellis out of the corner. That's off the mark. Robinson has the rebound.
It should have been a shot clock violation if he caught it before, after the 3 seconds expired.
And the Spurs are upset about something here.
Well, watch the shot clock. Now, ball gets in the air. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't. Well, it's still live. So with 1 second to go, that's still a live ball. So David Robinson had control.
And it is still Spurs basketball, no matter what happens.
And that's what Bob Hill said. Still our ball, right?
Bernie Bickerstaff having the situation explained to him. Meanwhile, the Spurs take time with 5.6 to play in the game. Best shot they could have come up with?
Under the circumstances, because they had so much trouble getting the ball in, and Dale Ellis knew he was fighting the shot clock, had to get it in the air.
100-99, just over 5.5 to play. We'll come back after these messages and a word from your local. Welcome back to Denver. Let's clear up the little confusion just before we left, Steve.
Yeah, previous play, we thought it was a possession for San Antonio with 1 second to go, but the ball actually touches the rim. David Robinson and company get control. They have possession of the ball. It was an inadvertent whistle, so San Antonio has it. 5.6 seconds to go in the ball game. What the Denver Nuggets now have to think is steal, and if they don't make the steal, they've got to foul. They've got to stop the clock right away, and so they're going to try to get the ball out of the hands of Chuck Person. They get David Robinson right away.
Cliff Livingston in to give the foul. Denver Nuggets are out of timeouts. And now Robinson will go to the line. He is 9 of 13 from the free throw line today, and a big 37 points and 12 rebounds.
He was huge in the second and third quarters, and then came up with a big shot that gave them the breathing room. And that one plays 4 corners and doesn't stay in.
Bryant Stith back into the game.
And Nuggets with no timeouts, even on a make or a miss, they've got to get the ball and make a quick push the other way and get the ball in the air. San Antonio's got to be aware of that. They want no foul out of this.
Dale Ellis, Greg Grant, Bryant Stith, Rodney Rogers, Reggie Williams on the floor for the Nuggets.
Rodman made them make a decision as to who was going to match up against him on the line. What San Antonio wants is a free throw.
101-99. Last 4.9 seconds. Reggie Williams on the drive inside, had it blocked. The play's up and good. Bryant Stith. We are going to overtime.
The clock shows the time left. Stith with it, and in the air, lets it go. It's a legal shot, and it's good, and they escape.
One official said yes, the other said no. The one who said yes, it counts, was entirely right. Back with overtime in a moment. The young man of the hour is Bryant Stith of the Denver Nuggets. The captain of the Nuggets took this loose ball. Robinson with the block. Stith put it back with what appeared to be a 1/10 of a second showing on the clock. Here's Bernie Bickerstaff.
Still alive, and now they have 5 minutes to try to figure out how to have the momentum and win the ball game, as they have come up with some heroes here in the fourth quarter. Mutombo with a couple of big blocks to keep them close, and then Rodney Rogers offense, and then the big save by Stith.
We remind you, Michael Jordan and the Bulls, Patrick Ewing and the Knicks coming up when we wind things down here in Denver.
And they'll have a tough time topping this afternoon's action on NBC. A winner and a close winner down there in Atlanta, and this one here goes to overtime. Chuck Person cannot guard Rodney Rogers. Rodney Rogers should think about going to the basket right now. Don't even waste any time. Gets inside and fouled by David Robinson.
So Rodney Rogers will go to the free throw line.
That's the best thing you can do, because he's not making 2 free throws in a row. So, but he's got to think, I've got an advantage against any of these guys that they throw out. Persons, Cummings, Rodman. If he gets them out on the perimeter, because he's so quick off the dribble, he's got to go to the hoop.
Rogers is just 3 out of 8 from the free throw line this afternoon. Denver in the lead.
The team that strikes first usually wins the overtime. But we saw an overtime this week. 46 points between Dallas and Houston, an NBA record for overtime, where we didn't know who was going to win that ball game.
Nuggets by 2. Rogers has 27.
Now this is the horse that's going to carry him. He's either going to make the shot or make the play for someone else, but they're going to start coming through David Robinson on every possession.
Elliott for 3. Reggie Williams has the loose ball.
Now, here again is an advantage. Rodney Rogers against David Robinson.
And Robinson reaches around and fouls him. That's 5 on David Robinson.
And this wasn't what they were calling, but this was great recognition by Rogers. You can't guard me out there. Reaches in, and he's back to the free throw line. I mean, that's great pressure and presence by Rodney Rogers to realize he has the game in his control when he's out there on the wing.
Rodney Rogers getting pretty comfortable at the line now. Here comes Terry Cummings into the lineup for the Spurs to give Robinson a breather.
This is his first breather. David Robinson went the entire 48, and he can't sit too long if the Nuggets are able to get a 4 to 5 point lead, and Rogers bounces both of those in.
4-point lead for the Nuggets. San Antonio has won 2 of 5 overtime contests this season. Denver has won 3 of 7.
Well, they want to get Livingston in, try to get Mutombo out so that he doesn't foul out. Sean Elliott.
Elliott. Rebound, Mutombo.
And, you know, they keep doing this circle thing, but the guy that's making the play is Rodney Rogers. So forget trying to set the screen. Get the ball to Rodney Rogers. He's the guy that can beat somebody off the dribble.
Shot clock is at 3. Rogers puts it up.
Mutombo.
Threw it to the wrong man. Avery Johnson on the run for 2. 105-103 Denver. AJ with 19 points. Grant down the lane. Rodman tips it to himself. And now the Spurs looking for a tie or better. 3 minutes to play in the first overtime.
I'm trying to get a play for Avery Johnson, trying to get to the basket.
Johnson's drive, no good. Loose ball. Rodman trying to save. He called timeout. Grabbed the ball, called timeout before he fell out of bounds. It'll be San Antonio ball when we come back. Denver by 2, 2:44 to play in the OT. This is the NBA on NBC. 105-103. Denver leads San Antonio, 2:44 to play here in the first overtime. And take a look at the play that led to the timeout.
Now, Rodman makes a Heisman Trophy type save, calling a timeout on the way. Pretty satisfied with himself, and then apologizes to the official for not throwing him the ball. It has been the big guys, the big bunnies, that have done their job.
Each playing with 5 fouls at this point in the game. Robinson and Avery on that side of the floor.
When he's been in, he's been the guy that they're trying to go through. They're trying to make them react to David Robinson and get a point from someplace else. Tip it in.
Looked like David Robinson on the tip. We're tied at 105. Robinson has 40. Rogers. And Cummings stripped the basketball out of bounds to the Spurs.
They got a big play there by Terry Cummings. Rodney Rogers again gets by Terry Cummings. He's beat. Robinson trying to close, and he just swat the ball out of his hands.
2:10 to play in the OT. 105-105.
Move a little bit closer to the edge of your seat. You've been waiting for a game like this all season long.
Chuck Person for 3. Got it. And the Spurs with a 3-point lead. Bernie Bickerstaff calls time. The man they call the Rifleman.
This is
one up from 3-point land.
This has kind of been typical of a team that's found different ways to win, and during the 15-game streak, Person had more than 1 game winner. This is a save, and it gets them the lead after it looked like they were going to have a real tough.
1:57 to play in the first overtime. There you see the timeout situation. The Spurs lead the Nuggets 108-105.
Well, a gem of information from Jim Gray. He says that they're going to force Rodney Rogers to go to his right. He's played most of this afternoon, and they finally realize he's left-handed. They're going to try to take him and go the other way. So he's going to post up now against. Oh!
Big spin on his man for the jam. 108-107.
Guess what? He went left.
31 points for Rodney Rogers.
Now they're going to come back to David Robinson. Robinson has 40 points, and they got to stay with him. He made the last play on the tip.
Johnson up against the shot clock. His shot didn't fall. Here comes Rogers. 1:15 to play. Nuggets with the ball down 1.
He can post up, and he tried to get it again. He shouldn't have given it up. Now they got to call a timeout. Uncertain as to where and how to get the ball back to Rodney Rogers. They burned a timeout.
65 seconds left in this first OT.
Well, it said make him go right.
We'll be back. Minute 5 to play in the OT.
See, they're trying to get the ball. They got to get it in now, and they're trying to get the ball back to Rodney Rogers.
Shot clock is at 4. Ellis off the baseline, hit the side of the backboard, dives for the ball, and the foul will go against the Nuggets.
It's exhausting.
That's number 3 on Ellis.
Ellis trying to get that one in the air, hit the side of the backboard, thought he was going to be able to make it back. Doc Rivers put his body on him first, got away with that one.
Spurs with the ball, they lead by a point. 45 seconds to play. Robinson spins, couldn't get it down. Rivers overshoots. Rogers with the basketball.
You got a foul.
And Rodman and Jalen Rose exchange words.
Well, what Jalen Rose has to understand is more important to go down to the other end.
And Rodney Rogers comes up limping.
And the last play, at the end of it, the ball comes out. There's the push. So Rodman got caught, and Jalen Rose gets up and reacts to the push.
And that is 6 on Dennis Rodman.
Now they want, Bob Hill wants to get Rodman off the court. Get down, sit down, don't get any mistakes. It's still a 1-point ball game, and the Nuggets have it. 36.4 in the game, 24, and Bernie wants to take a timeout.
36.4 to play. The Spurs 108, Denver 107. When we come back, the Nuggets will have the basketball and will go for the lead.
To go down to Rodney Rogers. If his man is overplaying him and they can't get him the ball, they're going to look for Reggie Williams to set a screen for Dale Ellis. If that breaks down, they'll throw the ball down low to Mutombo. Greg?
All right, Jim. Jalen Rose coming up.
Let's see how much the players remember between the time the ball is inbound.
Oh! And Jalen Rose had his man and threw it away.
They had it. They had it. You're just going to say how much do they remember between the instructions and the play. This is a perfect spin away. The pass is high, and they have to foul. Jalen Rose not happy.
That will send Avery Johnson to the line. That's 5 on Jalen Rose. Johnson is a 68% free throw shooter on the year. He's 5 out of 6 today from the line.
He shot them well, but he's a guy that can get nervous under the gun. Greg Grant getting ready to get back up to the scorer's table. That Bernie knows he needs a big push. They have no timeout.
He got the bounce. Grant replacing Jalen Rose. Denver is out of timeouts.
Short.
Here comes Grant.
The problem was he could have gone all the way.
Rogers for 3 off the mark. And fouled in the backcourt is Avery Johnson, and Rodney Rogers took a shot that Bernie Bickerstaff wishes he had back.
Well, he's looking at Rodney and saying, Rodney, you've had a great afternoon, but we only needed 2, and we had plenty of time. You know, the same thing for Greg Grant. When he made that big push, he had a chance to go all the way, and then suddenly saw David Robinson. That's the reason he pulled it out. This is where young teams make coaches old and unhealthy in a hurry. So Avery Johnson back on the line.
Johnson 6 out of 8 from the line. That gives the Spurs a 3-point lead. The Spurs looking for a 2-game lead over their nearest pursuer for the best record in the league. Denver, with a loss, would fall to just a game ahead of Sacramento for the 8th playoff spot in the West.
Denver had a big chance this afternoon. The Sacramento lost to give themselves a 2-game lead. and they didn't want to come down to the final game. They've got to play San Antonio again in San Antonio.
3 to tie. Grant fouled by Johnson, and that'll be 3 free throws. Greg Grant gets to go for the tie from the free throw line.
Greg Grant goes up and under. Avery Johnson comes down on top of him. This is a new rule, which before, possession meant everything. When you had a 3-point lead, you fouled to stop the clock to get the ball back so you could win the ball game. Now Grant has a chance to tie it. That's one.
Greg Grant has shot just 3 free throws now all season. He's 3 out of 3. That's his first point of the game. This is Bernie on the free throw. (110-109). Grant with one more free throw to shoot for the tie. He missed it. Mutombo. He missed the layup. Robinson with the rebound. Doc Rivers just walked by us shaking his head.
Good things happen to you when you're playing well, and that's just good fortune right there for San Antonio. The missed free throw, Mutombo right there at point blank range, can't cash. They're able to get it back. David Robinson walks the other way.
Robinson 10 out of 15 from the line. We have 1.5 showing on the clock. Spurs by 1.
If you believe in omens, you would say this team has all of the good things going for them. And this is a team that is certainly the most dangerous right now in the West and could represent the West for the championship.
41 points for Robinson. 42. Time for just one long heave by the Nuggets. Grant will come up short, and it's over. Hard-fought battle, but the Spurs improve to 58-20 on the year. 112-109. The Nuggets fall to 38-40. We'll take a timeout here and come back to wrap things up from McNichols Arena in Denver in just a moment.